Hi, I'm Hamdan and this is Nightline, and here are the top stories. Bank Negara plans to abolish flat rate interest on all personal loans. And Tun Musa Aman appointed as new Sabah governor. Good morning. Bank Negara Malaysia (BNM) is looking to abolish flat rate interest for personal financing. It is proposing to prohibit financial service providers (FSPs) from offering personal financing using the Rule of 78 method for calculating interest. The Rule of 78 is a formula commonly used by banking institutions to calculate interest over the entire loan period based on the original principal. As a result, borrowers do not benefit from interest savings even if they repay their loans early. BNM's proposal, outlined in the central bank's exposure draft on personal financing to invite public feedback, aims to ensure that borrowers are no longer penalized with excessive interest charges. Other changes proposed by BNM include requiring FSPs to classify certain home financing products as personal financing and capping the tenure at a maximum of 10 years. It is also gathering feedback on the feasibility of reducing the existing maximum tenure of 10 years for personal financing products and views on the lowest threshold that BNM should consider. As of the end of 2023, the country's total household debt stood at 1.53 trillion ringgit, with 12.6% attributed to personal financing. The Freedom of Information Bill will be tabled in Parliament next year. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said the bill aims to enhance transparency in the public service by ensuring individuals' rights to access information under the jurisdiction of the government are guaranteed and protected by law. In a post on his Facebook page on Tuesday, Anwar said that the proposed policy for the drafting of the bill was discussed at the Special Cabinet Committee on National Governance (JKKTN) meeting on Monday. He added that the meeting also took note of the establishment of the Special Task Force for the Corruption Perception Index, chaired by the Chief Secretary to the government, Tan Sri Shamsul Azri Abu Bakar. The step was taken to improve the country's image and perception regarding good governance in the public sector at the international level, particularly among foreign investors. Former Sabah Chief Minister Tun Musa Aman has been appointed the 11th Yang di-Pertua Negeri of Sabah. The appointment takes effect on January 1st next year. Yang di-Pertuan Agong Sultan Ibrahim presented Musa with the instrument of appointment in a ceremony at Balai Rom Kecil, Istana Negara in Kuala Lumpur on Tuesday. Also present were Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Fadilah Yusof and Sabah Chief Minister Datuk Seri Haji Nur. At the ceremony, Musa was also conferred the Seri Maharaja Mangku Negara Award, which carries the title Tun. His appointment as the Yang di-Pertua Negeri of Sabah, in accordance with Article 1 of the Sabah Constitution, is for a term of 4 years, ending on December 31st, 2028. Musa replaces Tun Juha Mahiruddin, whose term expires this December 31st. The former Sungai Sibuga Assemblyman previously served as Sabah's 14th Chief Minister from 2003 to 2018, holding the position longer than anyone else in the state's history. Meanwhile, Musa expressed his gratitude to the king for consenting to his appointment as the new Sabah governor. In a Facebook post, the former Sabah Chief Minister also thanked Anwar and Hajiji for his appointment to the post. Anwar also congratulated Musa on his appointment in a posting on his Facebook account. He expressed hope that Musa's extensive experience and long-standing service would be valued and bring significant benefits to the people, particularly in Sabah. Hajiji also extended his congratulations to Musa, expressing hope that he would contribute his expertise to Sabah's development. Hajiji also conveyed his deepest appreciation to Juha for his dedicated 14 years of service as the Yang di-Pertua Negeri of Sabah. The transition of government vehicles to electric vehicles, EVs, will take place in stages starting next year. Natural Resources and Environment Sustainability Minister Nik Ahmad said the transition, currently under consideration by the Finance Ministry, would be finalised soon.
Dia bukan akan buat sekaligus, dia akan buat secara berperingkat-peringkat. Peringkat mana, siapa, semua tu kena tunggu bila dia punya keputusan akhir itu akan dicapai lah. Tapi insyaAllah saya rasa menjelang tahun depan kita akan lihat secara praktis benda tu dapat dilaksanakan. Di mana akan mulalah sebab pemakaian EV di peringkat kerajaan.
Nik Nazmi said this at a media conference following the handover of guidelines for the transition to EVs in Putrajaya on Tuesday. He also revealed that preparations are nearing completion for the country's first EV, the Proton EMAS 7, to serve as Malaysia's official car during its ASEAN Chairmanship next year. However, he did not rule out the possibility of using other EV brands as well, depending on specific requests and needs. Moving on, the Education Ministry aims to ensure that all newly planned school buildings will be constructed on sites safe from floods and other natural disasters. Its Minister Fadlina Siddiq said that safety was a priority as disasters such as floods can disrupt school operations and affect students' academic progress.
Jadi sekolah tu kena selamat. Yang kedua, dia menjadi pusat pemindahan sementara semasa banjir. Jadi mesti kita bagi perhatian penuh kepada kawasan yang lebih selamat apabila memilih untuk dan lokasi sekolah yang baru, insyaAllah.
Fadlina said this to reporters after a working visit to a school in Arau Perlis on Tuesday. She added that the ministry would also take immediate steps to address maintenance issues caused by floods and to assist those affected by the disaster. 6 states were affected by the recent floods, namely Kedah, Kelantan, Terengganu, Selangor, Perlis and Johor, with hundreds of thousands being displaced. Many of them were housed in temporary relief centres, some of which were in school buildings in nearby areas. In Negeri Sembilan, celebrity preacher Azman Shah alias better known as PU Azman was sentenced to 7 years jail and 2 strokes of the cane by the Seremban Sessions Court on Tuesday. Judge Datuk Surita Budin handed the sentence after Azman pleaded guilty to 4 amended charges of physical sexual assault on 2 teenage boys 2 years ago. The court also ordered the 43-year-old accused to undergo counselling and be placed under police probation for 2 years after completing his time in jail. According to the charges, Azman had sexually assaulted the 2 boys aged 16 and 17 at a house in Taman Tiara Sendayan in Nilai between 8:30 p.m. on February 5, 2022 and 5 a.m. the next day. On 3 of the charges, he was sentenced to 7 years in prison and 1 stroke of the cane, and 5 years imprisonment with 1 stroke of the cane on the 4th charge, to be served concurrently from last October 9th. On September 27th, Azman was sentenced to 24 years jail and 2 strokes of the cane by the Klang Sessions Court after being found guilty of physical sexual assault of a 17-year-old boy 2 years ago, and on December 6 he was sentenced to 14 months in jail after pleading guilty to gross indecency against a teenage boy. In Johor, a private orphanage in Taman Mas Kulai has been temporarily closed following rape and abuse allegations against its caretaker. State Welfare Department JKM enforcement officers also rescued 55 children aged between 10 and 17 from the orphanage on December 9th. Johor Women, Family and Community Development Committee Chairman Khairin Nisa Ismail on Tuesday confirmed that the children were relocated after a temporary closure order was issued under Section 15 of the Care Centres Act. Of the 55 children, 32 were reunited with their biological parents, while the remaining 23 were placed in a safe house under JKM. She added that the children will remain at the designated safe house under the care of JKM, while court proceedings against the caretaker are ongoing. It was reported that the caretaker, who is also the chairman of the orphanage, was arrested on 30th November after he allegedly raped and impregnated a minor who is now 17, residing in the home between 2020 and 2022. The 59-year-old man was rearrested on December 10th for allegedly abusing a girl after closed-circuit television CCTV footage of the incident surfaced days later. Previously, the individual was charged with 2 counts of rape involving a 17-year-old resident and for abusing a minor, to which he pleaded not guilty at the Johor Bahru Sessions Court last Sunday. In Malacca, a groom-to-be was charged at the Ayer Keroh Magistrates Court on Tuesday with reckless driving, resulting in the deaths of 2 teenagers in Krubong last year. The accused, S. Vinodaran, pleaded not guilty to the charge after it was read out to him before Magistrate Nur Shaliati Muhammad Sobri. The 26-year-old lorry driver allegedly drove dangerously, causing the fatal accident that claimed the lives of Irwan Idris and Putra Nur Shakir Putra Wirawan, both aged 16. He allegedly committed the offence at Jalan Krubong Permai, Melaka Tengah at 9:53 p.m. on December 24, 2023. The charge under the Road Transport Act carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison and a fine of up to 50,000 ringgit if convicted. Vinodaran, whose driving license has been suspended, could also face disqualification from holding a license for at least 5 years if found guilty. The court set bail at 6,500 ringgit with 1 surety and fixed January 27th for case remention. Meanwhile, a company manager has been remanded at the same court for allegedly soliciting and accepting a 735,000 ringgit bribe to secure a Datuk Seri title 2 years ago. The 3-day remand order beginning Tuesday was issued by Magistrate Nabilah Nizam to enable the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission (MACC) to complete its probe into the case. Sources reveal that the 54-year-old suspect was arrested at 5:10 p.m. on Monday at the state MACC office while providing a statement about the bribery allegation involving a money transfer from an individual. The case is being investigated under the MACC Act, which imposes a penalty of 5 times the value of the bribe or 10,000 ringgit, whichever is greater, and carries a maximum prison sentence of 20 years upon conviction. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said Fitch Ratings' affirmation of Malaysia's sovereign credit rating is a recognition of the country's economic progress. On Monday, the American credit rating agency maintained Malaysia's sovereign credit rating at BBB+ with a stable outlook. In a statement issued by the Finance Ministry, Anwar said the ratings acknowledge the government's commitment to implement significant legislative and institutional reforms that has resulted in better policy clarity and effective economic management. Fitch also recognized that policy certainty has improved in the country as a result of a more stable government and further demonstrated by the introduction of various economic reforms. This includes strengthening the governance of state-owned enterprises as well as legislation such as enacting the Public Finance and Fiscal Responsibility Act 2023. The Malaysian stock market performed well throughout 2024, with the FBM KLCI index increasing by 10.6%. The benchmark index also reached its highest level since 2020, hitting 1,680 points on August 30th. Bank Muamalat's chief economist Muhammad Afzanizam Abdul Rashid stated that the positive performance was due to strong buying momentum, coupled with the return of foreign investors to the local market. The development of data centers in Malaysia is also seen as a major contributor to the increase in stocks. It is expected that the construction of data centers will stimulate investment while also benefit local main contractors. Chinese leaders agreed last week to raise the budget deficit to 4% of gross domestic product GDP next year, its highest on record, while maintaining an economic growth target of around 5%. Two sources with knowledge of the matter said the new deficit plan is in line with a more proactive fiscal policy outlined by leading officials after December's Politburo meeting and last week's Central Economic Work Conference. The additional 1 percentage point of GDP in spending amounts to about $179.4 billion. The sources added that the additional stimulus will be funded via issuing off-budget special bonds. The targets, however, are typically not officially announced until the annual parliamentary meeting in March, and they could still change before the legislative session. JDT continue winning streak. Sports after this breather.
Satu dalam sejuta.
Apa yang dia nyanyi?
Sepasang sayap.
Hampir berbelas-belas tahun, tiba-tiba dia dengar cakap, 1 in a million kembali. Ini satu platform untuk suara Dayang. Sebagai seorang penyanyi, it's a good experience for me lah untuk mereka-mereka yang ingin menceburkan diri dalam bidang muzik. All the best, prepare betul-betul, bagi semua, all out.
OIAM akan datang Disember ini.
Tonton ada banyak drama dan filem Korea terbaik. Muat turun aplikasi tonton sekarang. Layan upah sampai pagi.
Kita pun tak keluarkan badan manusia tersebut. Didapati tiada kaki, tiada tangan.
Suspek membuang bahagian badan mangsa yang juga seorang orang kurang upaya ke dalam lubang pembentung di belakang kediaman mereka.
Manakala kepala, dua-dua belah tangan dan dua-dua kaki telah dikambus di bahagian belakang rumah.
3 identiti, 1 misi. Si ayah, seorang perisik. Si ibu, pembunuh upah. Dan si anak dengan kuasa telepati. Berpura-pura menjadi keluarga, tetapi ada rahsia yang disembunyikan. Saksikan Spy X Family setiap Ahad 11 malam di TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Sports now, football, the Super League. 3 matches took place on Tuesday. KL City FC defeated Negeri Sembilan FC 2-1 and Selangor FC overcame Perak FC also with a 2-1 scoreline, while Johor Darul Takzim continue their dominance with yet another victory in the league, beating Sri Pahang FC 3-1 at the Sultan Ibrahim Stadium. After a goalless first half, the Southern Tigers took the lead 3 minutes after the restart, no thanks to an own goal by Sri Pahang Zarif Irfan Hashimuddin. The league leaders then doubled their lead in the 52nd minute when Berks and Da Silva brilliantly finished off a perfect through pass. Stunned, Pahang immediately pulled one back a minute later as David Rowley headed in a sublime cross from Nikola Agapov. JDT then put the game to bed when Bergson calmly converted from the spot to seal the dominant 3-1 victory. The win extends JDT's 9-game win streak as they sit comfortably on top of the table with 46 points. Earlier, Selangor FC were dominant away from home as they sealed a 2-1 win over Perak FC at the mini Manjung Stadium. The visitors opened the scoring through Alvin Fortes in the 41st minute after the forward tapped in a sublime cross from Quentin Cheng. Fortes then secured his brace in the 71st minute after he slotted home Alex Agiamqua's perfectly timed pass. Just a minute before time, Perak FC managed to find a consolation goal after one Zach Haikal stayed composed in the box to strike it into the net. The Red Giants almost closed the game with a third, however the goal was ruled out as a foul was committed during the build-up. With the 3 points, Selangor maintained second in the standings with 35 points, 11 behind leaders JDT. Moving on to squash the 2024 Singapore Junior Open, national player Ayesha Rania Said Kabir proved that she is a rising force after capturing back-to-back titles within a week. In the Under-19 final on Sunday, 5th seed Ayesha produced an upset, defeating top seed Rafa Putri Yataki of Singapore 11-4, 11-6, 14-12, just a week after winning the KL Junior crown. The 18-year-old is now looking forward to represent Malaysia at the Asia Junior Cup and the World Junior Championships in 2025. In another match, national compatriot Harlin Tan also followed in her footsteps by emerging victorious in the girls' Under-17 final, defeating fellow countrywoman T. Dakshayani 11-7, 11-5, 15-13. Three dead in Wisconsin school shooting. The details when Nightline returns.
Satu dalam sejuta.
Sampai sekarang masih tak ingat lirik. Bila saya tengok dan tonton rancangan itu, saya sedar yang macam down, of course down, tapi dia punya momentum dan juga impact permulaannya daripada 1 in million sangat besar. Try your best, prepare diri anda. Ini akan memberi anda ruang dan platform yang bagus untuk karier anda.
OIAM akan datang Disember ini.
Oh. Guys, dekat tonton ada pelbagai drama dan filem Korea nombor 1. Seronoknya layan Oppa sampai pagi. Muat turun aplikasi tonton, semua favourite anda ada di sini.
Kita pun tak keluarkan badan manusia tersebut. Didapati tiada kaki, tiada tangan.
Suspek membuang bahagian badan mangsa yang juga seorang orang kurang upaya ke dalam lubang pembentung di belakang kediaman mereka.
Manakala kepala, dua-dua belah tangan dan dua-dua kaki telah dikambus di bahagian belakang rumah.
इस अंगूठे ने तुम्हारी शील्ड का जादू डिस्ट्रॉय कर दिया है और अब तुम्हें तुम्हारा खंजर भी नहीं बचा सकता। पर मेरे जाले में तुम लोग 1 घंटे के अंदर दम तोड़ दोगे। समझिए।
Sekali lagi, ikatan cinta mereka dipertaruhkan dalam Yeh Jadu Hai Jinka musim kedua setiap Isnin hingga Khamis 4 petang di Sonia TV3 dan stream sekarang melalui Tonton.
Onto the foreign front. A powerful earthquake hit the Pacific island of Vanuatu on Tuesday, killing at least 1 person, while also triggering a series of alerts from the US tsunami warning system. According to the US Geological Survey, the 7.3 magnitude quake struck at a depth of 57 kilometers. some 30 kilometers off the coast of Ifate, Vanuatu's main island, at 12:47 p.m. It was reported that the earthquake severely damaged buildings in the capital Port Vila, including a building housing the US and French embassies, where the ground floor had been crushed under the higher floors. A witness said that the quake also collapsed at least 2 bridges and flattened the ground floor of a concrete building housing diplomatic missions. A tsunami warning was issued after the quake, with waves of up to 1 meter forecasted for some areas of Vanuatu, but it was soon lifted by the Pacific Tsunami Warning Center. The Zionist forces continued to pound Gaza, killing dozens of Palestinians in the past 24 hours amid reports of ceasefire talks inching closer to an agreement. According to officials, Israeli fighter jets bombed a residential building in Gaza City, killing at least 10 people. The attack left the Daraj neighborhood in flames, with rescue workers searching for survivors amid the rubble. Further north in the town of Beit Lahia, which has been under Israeli siege since early October, at least 15 people were killed by an airstrike that hit a house. In Rafah, Zionist tanks pushed deeper into the western area of Mawasi, forcing dozens of families to flee northward toward Khan Yunis. To date, the death toll in Gaza has surged to at least 45,059 people, with over 107,040 others injured. A 15-year-old girl opened fire in a Wisconsin school classroom, fatally shooting a fellow student and a teacher before killing herself with a handgun. Authorities said the shooter was a student at Abundant Life Christian School, Wisconsin, where the incident took place on Monday. However, she was pronounced dead while being transported to the hospital from what police believe was a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Meanwhile, at least 6 others were injured in the incident. There have been 322 school shootings this year in the US, the second highest total of any year since 1966, topped only by last year's total of 349 shootings. South Korean prosecutors on Tuesday told impeached President Yoon Suk-yeol to appear by Saturday for questioning over his failed martial law bid or face possible arrest. The prosecutors also asked that the suspended president appear to answer questions on Wednesday, but were rebuffed by Yoon's office. Yoon, suspended from office by Parliament last week, is being investigated over alleged insurrection by both South Korean prosecutors and a joint team of police, defense ministry and anti-corruption investigators. The president and some of his inner circle face possible life imprisonment or even the death penalty if found guilty. He remains under a travel ban. In the meantime, South Korea's Constitutional Court on Monday has begun proceedings against Yoon, and it has around 6 months to determine whether to uphold his impeachment or not. Now, TikTok on Monday asked the US Supreme Court to step in on an emergency basis to block the federal law that would ban the popular platform in the United States unless its China-based parent company agreed to sell it. Lawyers for the company and China-based ByteDance urged the justices to step in before the law's January 19th deadline. A similar plea was also filed by content creators who rely on the platform for income, and some of TikTok's more than 170 million users in the US. The lawyer said that a modest delay in enforcing the act will create breathing room for this court to conduct an orderly review and the new administration to evaluate this matter. The companies also said that a shutdown lasting just a month would cause TikTok to lose about a third of its daily users in the US and significant advertising revenue. Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump, who once supported a ban but then pleaded during the campaign, pledged during the campaign to save TikTok, stated his administration would take a look at the situation.
Now, Joe Rogan did.
Nightline, we leave you with visuals of local bakers and designers creating elaborate gingerbread houses as part of an annual festive competition in Stockholm's Arctis Museum. With that, I'm Hamdan. Thanks for watching and stay safe.